My tiny whoop's grooving like a funky jam. Dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remote's a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. We fly that flow, spread that gap. No time to nap, no time to nap. Hit that roll, funk and control, bounce that wall, we fly it all, we fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split that's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
Oh. Hang on, friends. Hang on. Unbelievable. Hold on, it's coming up. It's coming up. It's gonna work. It's gonna work this time. Hold on. Here it goes. Just wait a second. Hold on. It's coming up. Ah! What's up, people? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. I was trying to get one more battery flown for the with this silly little thing that's in the that's in the thumbnail. All right, we're good. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. This is Sunday Q&A. Today we're going to be taking a look at a little bit of flight footage from the world's fattest 65mm rig. This is something that I've done once before with the Happy Model canopy, which is an 04 Lite indoor build set up to be kind of like as competent as possible indoors, freestyle. basically what that means is Cockroach V3 frame, 40,000 kV 0702s from Weebleed, HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 props, and then the standard like 1S kind of electronic setup, which is the Beta FPV AIO. I think it's still the, don't quote me on this, but I think it's still the only AIO that has a 3 amp Beck. The reason you need a 3 amp Beck is the 04 Lite is pretty power hungry. This time, the difference is we're using the Beta FPV canopy setup for so that we've got the damping that this includes, which will allow us to use gyro flow. Not really something that I would use, especially for like 1S whoop footage with the 04 Lite, because like the 04 Lite is shockingly good quality, but it's not like Horizon Lock quality. When you start to use Horizon Lock, every single time you roll, it's going to crop in quite a bit. And so realistically, to use Horizon Lock, which is the reason to use gyro flow, in my opinion, you've got to have extra pixels, essentially. You've got to have like a really clean 4K image. When you've got an itty bitty little sensor, you don't have a super clean 4K image. And when you want to, and so when you crop in on that, it's going to be extra noticeable, and you're not going to like the quality. All that being said, if you're just kind of flying for fun, who cares, right? Like if you're not delivering footage to a client or like, you know what I mean? It just sort of is what it is. But if you're just flying for fun, why do you care about Horizon Lock, right? I just want to see what it looks like. Cool. I'm totally down with that. Nothing wrong with that. But like, yeah, why go through all that hassle? Typically, like Horizon Lock specifically, but also stabilization, is only for delivering to a paying client. If you're just flying for fun, like who cares if it's stabilized at all? But you do you. If you want to see your footage stabilized, yeah, using this canopy will allow you to do that. One of my main issues with this canopy is that it has the potential of creating a bunch of jello. The Happy model molded 04 canopy, which does not have the shock absorption. Let me see if I can wobble this camera around to show you the shock absorption. Ready? Just get it to catch the light here. Wow, OBS is running like absolute assholes today. There you go. So the camera itself is held on by 4 little rubber bastards, and there's a chance that one of them has popped off. Is that what I'm seeing here? No, that looks fine. Is it the bottom right one? It almost looks like the camera's sitting in here sideways. I did just crash this thing a bunch, so it wouldn't totally surprise me. Nope, it's fine. I'm just crazy. Yeah, no, I'm just a crazy person. So, yeah, there's that. I don't know why you would use this canopy other than you bought a Meteor 75 Pro 04, which is what this was, and you want to fly it inside, but the 04 Pro frame is big and heavy and powerful and not a really good choice for flying inside. So what you could do is exactly what I did, which is to just pull the 4 motor plugs, pull the 4 canopy screws, take the entire AIO VTX canopy camera antenna right out of the 04 Pro frame and drop it into a 65mm frame like the Cockroach 65 V3, which is my favorite, with a set of really powerful motors. The reason why you need really powerful motors is that this is a fat, chunky, chubby chunk monster of epic proportions. Most of our indoor tiny whoops are anywhere between 16 and 18 grams. This massive donkey is 27.2. And boy, oh boy, does it feel 27.2 grams dry when you fly it. I've done a couple of batteries on this thing, and it's worse than when I had it in the Happy Model canopy. But we're gonna talk more about that in a little bit here. Let me get caught up on chat. And yeah, we'll dive into this and we'll talk about whether or not like this is actually realistic for flying indoors. This is a hashtag 6 battery stream, so get them charged and fly them while you're listening to me go through questions. I would really love it if OBS and or YouTube and or Canon's camera software would not be such absolute piles of shit and work even a little bit, but here we are. We live in a world where everything is a little bit worse in every way, you know, like just our lives in general, technology, everything. Everything is a little bit worse each day than it was the day right before. In the chat, Batted Drones was first, Spaceman Spiff, Jimmy the Cow, Eco4458, Giddy Bots, Uriel, Rockcrawler, FizzPV, Frank Nicholas, Uriel, Matthew Wegner, Adam Verby, Latrank, Rockcrawler, Captain Bry. What's up, Captain Bry? How you been, dude? I haven't seen you in a little bit. You Can FPV, Robert, Zabluga, Matthew Wegner again, Mike K. Who else is here? Adam Verby, Jimmy the Cow, Hey Ryan, Tamava, Phil Bradley, Jimmy Flies FPV, Schweizer, rather, Junao, Yamasor. Thanks for hanging, friends. Yeah, this is this is nuts. We're I knew what to expect, but I was blown away. I'll just say that. Like, I knew it was going to be bad, but I had no idea it was going to be this bad. But there's a chance that you could kind of chill out with it. You know, the stream title says, is it viable indoors? Your definition of viable is can be different than mine. That's totally fine. I'm gonna give you my opinion, and then you're gonna have to do with it as you may. But not to spoil the lead, but in my opinion, the answer is no. But that's just me. You know, I have impossible standards. I want to be able to do 15 power loops and 42 Matty flips per battery accurately, and you know, so everybody is Lord Region is chopped liver, indeed. Flakadelic. Sometimes I miss you guys. Sorry. I'll get you the next time. Yeah, for the record, this AIO VTX camera canopy antenna setup was amazing in the Air 75 V2 frame. It would be just as good in the Mobula 7 V4 frame with these GEPRC 1002 25,000s on either the GemFan 1610 props or these HQ 1.6 by... Why do I always forget the pitch on these propellers? 1.6 by 1.2 by 2. This thing was an absolute riot in this setup with 1S 450 mAh batteries. 1 or 2 live streams ago, I dove into this, showed you a bunch of flight footage, and we talked about it. Super, super, super happy with it in here. In that live stream, we talked about how, yes, on 1S, this is really good, but this setup moved over to 2S, which unfortunately means switching the AIO. But I have that exact setup over here. As a 2S build instead of 1S, it's better in every way. More runtime, more power, better response time. just better in every way. And so, like, I've pulled this setup out of this frame because I'm not going to leave this setup. Like, if I'm just like, all right, I'm going to go fly, and I have this 1S04 build, and then I've got this 2S04 build, 100% of the time, I'm going to take the 2S build. It's like 2 grams heavier, again, and it does everything better. Better runtime, better response time, more power, right? And so, like, this is the one that's going to get left together. I can't put this into gyro flow, but I don't need to put this in the gyro flow. I do have a couple extra. I do have a white and black canopy here, so like if for some reason I wanted to put this into through gyro flow, I could just grab those canopies out and put it on here. I've had this set up for many, many, many months, and there's yet to be a single situation where I've been like, damn it, I wish it was in that canopy. In fairness, next year when the American Criterium Cup Cycling Series starts back up again, and I'm on an all 04 setup for them, I may very well put this into this canopy, so that I have that. So basically, so that I can turn Rocksteady on, and deliver the TV truck footage from the DVR that is a little bit stabilized in case this thing's getting hammered by the wind, right? Like, if you're flying this thing outside, there's a chance that it's going to get nailed by the wind, and tiny whoops with all the obstructions outside the props, they will have an issue with it. I've been able to get the tune so dialed on this that when it gets hit by wind, it doesn't bobble around, it just gets pushed around, which the canopy is not going to help, right? But there are potentially situations where it could wobble a little bit, and Rocksteady with this frame would take that out. Or if I'm just being like overly sharp on the sticks, Rocksteady will kind of smooth that out a little bit. And in a professional setting where you're delivering footage to like an actual TV truck that's mixing in your feed with, you know, $10,000 cameras on tripods on the corner of each corner of the racetrack, you want it to be absolutely as smooth as possible to match up with that stuff. So there's totally a reason for this canopy. It's just not, you don't need that. Like, there aren't many people that are using 04 lights to deliver actual footage, right? And so 9 times out of 10, this and this Happy Model molded canopy does not suffer from the jello issues that this one does. This canopy without a gyro notch filter is a jello nightmare. This is not. Putting that gyro notch filter in there is no big deal, but this canopy is a lot lighter weight. This is also going to be a lot more durable of a canopy. This is significantly heavier. There's literally moving parts in here, and this is not going to be the canopy that you want to thrash with, right? This is set up as like a freestyle rig where I can, hammer the living hell out of it. So yeah, pluses and minuses, but that's kind of why I took this out of a frame motor prop combo. It was really good. I had a blast. I put maybe 30 batteries through this setup with the 04 Lite over the last couple of weeks of live streaming, and I've played most of them for you. And it was great. I had a really good time. I have even more fun with the 2S setup though, and so yeah, I can't have an 04 Lite tied up in a build that is barely going to get flown, right? Like, the 04 Lights are rare as hell, and they're really expensive. So I'm kind of moving this center stack around a little bit to different rigs, just to kind of give you because, you know, one of the really common questions is like, why don't we fly the 04 Lite indoors? Is there a setup that's really good for the 04 Lite indoors? And so, yeah, we've touched on that once. I figured it would be cool to kind of touch on that again with the different really popular canopy option. Next up for this 04 Lite is an open prop 2-inch setup. I just need to get and there's one on the way, an AIO for it. Is it Whoop Fox or is it Adam Verby? I think it's Adam Verby. Yep, it's Adam Verby. that is very kindly sending me that white Flywoo AIO that has ELRS on board, but is set up for HD, so there's no VTX on board. It's the one that Rotor Riot uses for the Vision 40. And so with that AIO, we're gonna take this 04 Lite and go into a 2-inch 2S open prop Baby Turtle Pro. Baby Turtle Pro. And yeah, we'll just keep moving this 04 Lite around until it inevitably explodes. That might be where it ends up living, to be totally honest. And like a build this, so it's gonna basically be this. A build this small and light and like not stabby. I feel pretty comfortable flying this around people. So once I have it in that build, it very well may get flown at some of these Criterium Cup events. These events are interesting, right? Like there's such a weird gray area in the way that you can't fly over people rules are set up, because it just kind of says like people, and like at these events, like, yes, there are people, there is a crowd. I don't fly over the crowd though. I fly over the racetrack where the riders are, and like they're on waivers, and they're not just like people, like they're participants, they're competitors, they're kind of employees, right, in a way. And so yeah, it's such like a weird gray area. Again, this is just so, like, I feel totally comfortable hitting someone in the face with this and having them just kind of laugh at it, right? Like it's so outrageously lightweight and silly, and like, yeah, I mean, they're not gonna like, they might not actually laugh at it. They might be like, oh my god, I just got hit in the face by something that weighs 40 grams. But like, they're not going to the hospital, right? And so, yeah, and like, obviously I wouldn't be flying this in such, like, I would be flying it safely. If I were to put this up in the air, it would be like last resort. Basically, it's very windy and I need something without prop guards. Because I'll be bringing, like, to those events, since I'm going to be on 04 stuff, I'm bringing all the 04 shit, right? Like, I'm bringing all the 04 Lite stuff. I'll have the RC drift car chasing 65mm setup that I'll absolutely fly around inside the TV truck. I've done that with the 2.5-inch 250-gram stuff before. I'll be bringing this, right? Like, I'll bring the whole arsenal of 04 stuff to deliver like really cool little sort of things to the TV truck, right? Flying around like the spectators, and like flying, there's lots of easy ups and shit with like the cycle teams, and then like sponsors and shit, and with this tiny stuff you just go right in there and it's super fun, right? And so yeah, I have a funny feeling that the 04 Lite that ends up in the Baby Turtle Pro will see some actual use. What are your guys' thoughts on that? You think it's kind of reckless to fly this around people? If so, you're wrong. Like, I don't know. It's the reaction. Here's the other thing. When I'm flying the 249-gram stuff with the carbon fiber guards around the props and whatnot, you know, I've done like a dozen of these cycling events, and the reaction that I get from them is always like really, really positive from people. Like, people are not freaked out by it. They smile, they don't freak out. Like, when I'm at full throttle with it, sure, it makes some noise. But like, when you're flying around in the crowd and stuff, like, you're not full throttle, you're very light on the throttle, and it's just this like little thing that's got these obvious guards around the props, and it's just like, you know, whatever. And so yeah, I'm curious what your guys' thought is. I'm on both sides of this. Like, I totally understand, and I don't want to freak even a single person out, because it's not great for us. But at the same time, like, I feel like the people that freak out at, like, the obviously safe stuff, they're freaking out because they have this weird thing in their demented brains that makes them feel that people fly drones to spy on them. And, you know, they're going to freak out at anything. Like, these are the mouth breathers, right? Like, these are the people that just they're just awful. And so it's kind of like, whatever, right? Like, they're going to freak out if you walk down the street and you're not wearing a shirt that supports the idiot that they support. Whether you're flying a drone or not, it doesn't matter, right? Like, these are the monsters that unfortunately we have to live with. And so, yeah, I don't know. Curious what you guys think, though. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, type at CiottiFPV. You do have to type the at nowadays because YouTube makes things worse as time moves forward. CiottiFPV.com is my little Linktree website where you can support me. This is a totally crowdfunded thing here. This way, when I review stuff, when I talk about products, you don't have to think like, oh, is he just softballing that because he's relying on Flywoo to send him more stuff? No, most of these companies don't send me anything. If they do send me something, I tell you, and I tell them that if they send me something that sucks, that I'm going to hammer the hell out of it. Sometimes they stop sending me stuff. Sometimes they keep sending me stuff because they appreciate the feedback. And so, yeah, Patreon is the best way to support me. It's $3 a month to get on there. For $5 a month, you'll get entered in the giveaways at the first Monday of every single month. You don't even have to be on the live stream. And so, yeah, that's like, you know, 10 to 20 cents per live stream. It's worth it to have somebody that'll answer your questions live for 10 plus hours a week, isn't it? Isn't it? Without a bunch of people's support, I can't do that. So support a brother. Support the people that are helping you out in the FPV hobby, helping you fix your shit, helping you get your stuff flying better, helping you find the magical combination of props and motors and whatnot that perform really well, or telling you what not to waste your money on, right? Like, every single one of us has wasted many hundreds of dollars, if you've been into this for more than 6 months, on stuff that sucks. I like to think that having somebody that'll tell you what stuff sucks to not buy it can potentially save you a lot of time and money. And yeah, if you throw a couple of those dollars back my way, I'll keep doing it for as long as I possibly can. This year has been pretty rough. I hope you don't mind the slightly more aggressive sales tactics on my part lately. But yeah, you know, as our economy gets driven into the ground, those of us doing crazy shit get hit the hardest. And so, yeah, help me out. Use my affiliate links, change your bookmarks to someone's affiliate links to support them, because you can watch our stuff here on YouTube for free, right? Click thumbs up, subscribe, clip your favorite little bit of the live stream and post it on your local Facebook group to try to get some folks over here so that you don't have to be their source of information, that you're always answering their questions. Get them over here. Let's get them educated, and have more people checking out different combos, right? And figuring out all the magical stuff. I can test a lot of stuff, but I can't test everything. And so, like, the GEPRC 1002 25,000s, for example, when they first came out, I was like, you know, I really want to get these, but it's a little tight right now. I'm not going to jump on them. I don't think 25,000 kV is going to be that much better than 22,000 kV. And then one of you guys over on Discord was like, yo, you got to check them out. They're really, really good. And so I snagged a set, and absolutely right. So yeah, join the Discord. The Discord is where we do most of the chatting and learning and experimenting. And yeah, let's keep testing stuff. Let's keep figuring all this shit out, because there are setups of parts that are so much better. And sometimes they're kind of hard to find, because it'll be like a weird set of motors that's a little bit higher kV, or it's a little bit lighter, or like the stator poles are wound differently, or has a tighter air gap, or thinner laminations on the stator poles. It's a million different things that can make this stuff better. You know, I can't quite afford yet to buy everything that comes out. Maybe someday. You never know. Jimmy the Cow says, fun flight time inside. Got that life feed bing bong set up. that Raspberry Pi thing. Yeah, thanks to Frank Nicholas, I do have a Raspberry Pi that is going to be set up for with Cosmo Streamer. I just haven't had the time to get that all kind of done quite yet. I will be, though, in the next couple of months, because I have to get ready for this upcoming season of these cycling events. Yeah, I will be kind of doing that. So you guys will get to see that whole process. I've got two 04 Pro builds, a AOS Cine 30 and Cine 35 that I'm going to be trying out. I've previously done all 2.5-inch box frame setups, and I always struggle for, I always need a little bit more runtime, and I always need a little bit more power and a little bit more response time, because it tends to be windy at these events, and these cyclists are really fast. You know, they'll do 40 miles an hour in bursts, and that's a lot for a setup that has prop guards, right? And so I'm going to try this 3-inch and 3.5-inch setup. The 3.5-inch setup is going to be on biblades, which I'm actually really excited about. I am going to try the 3-inch setup on biblades as well. I would love to have to be able to move to biblades. On 2.5-inch props, I can't. There are no biblades that... there's not a combination of motor and biblade that will make enough power. Also, even if there were, there actually might be. There is an Emax Eco 1404 that's 6,000 kV, which is meant for 3S. I could run that on my 4S setup, potentially with biblades, but the RPM would be so high that you get, like, the pitch, the noise that quad would make would be just even more kind of nails on a chalkboard. And I've already gotten... They run audio at these events, and so they don't want to hear of a quad flying by every single time from the corner cameras. I had the opportunity to do a UCI is the BMX the BMX Racing Association that feeds into the Olympics. Was it this year? It was either this year or last year. I had the chance to do their event up in North Carolina, South Carolina, one of the Carolinas. The last event before the Olympics, and the one main shot that the TV truck really wanted was me hovering up above. So they launched these BMX riders down this big ass ramp, this big, like, 4-story ramp or something like that. And the one big shot that they really wanted was me hovering up above the ramp and then chasing the riders all the way down the ramp to show that big acceleration of speed. And I did that run 2 times, and they immediately got me on the radio, and they're like, "Don't do that anymore. The noise is too much. It's distracting the riders." Yeah. And so the noise matters, right? The noise that these things make when you're flying around people and or competitors, right? In this case, it does matter. And so I'm hoping that 3-inch and 3.5-inch will... I'm not hoping, I know that 3-inch and 3.5-inch will bring that noise level down quite a bit. So we'll see. And the FAA has changed their sub 250 rule to basically be sub 399. And so both of these rigs will fit under that. I'll have to put waivers in, but the waiver process is super simple, and they actually approve them now. So yeah, it's no big deal. That'll be interesting. I'm really excited about that. Zabluga says, "What's up, AN?" UConFPV says, "I soldered that GNB motor up today and direct soldered the VTX antenna to 2G4. What a pain, lol." Yeah, it is, man. It really is. Mike K says, in case people didn't see in Discord, AliExpress has the new Gemfin 1207 props for a good price. Where's that at? Where's that at? Is that in the Tiny Whoop group over there? Let's see. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Toothpick and Whoop. No. 1207 is interesting. Where'd you put that? I don't see it in general. Oh, wait, no. I probably have to scroll up in general. Yeah, I'm stupid. So that's on AliExpress. 1207, 31 millimeter, pink, blue, gray. Interesting. 1207. Let's take a look here. Let me see if I can find them, first of all. Sometimes I have a hard time finding stuff on AliExpress. Now, there they are. Okay, interesting. So, GemFan has a 1219S that's this newer design, and it's a little heavy, and it's a little too pitchy. And so this could be really good. What's most exciting about this is that it's potentially going to be a durable, lightweight, low-pitch propeller. 1207 is very similar to 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 from of the HQ props that we all love. But the thing that we don't love about the HQ props is that they're fragile. And so this hub design, basically the existing propeller, GemFan propeller that looks just like this, the 1219S, is very, very, very durable. So if these guys here are nice and lightweight, I wonder if there is a weight, 0.15 of a gram. All right, let's see. Let's weigh a couple of these HQ ultralights. I haven't weighed these HQ props in a while. I used to know the weight offhand, but not anymore. So I'm going to weigh 4 of these things and then do the division, because most scales are not quite sensitive enough to weigh something accurately that's 0.1 something of a gram. So, well, let me actually weigh more than 4 of them. I'm going to weigh 8 of them. Somebody do this math for me, please. 8 of the HQ ultralight 1.2 by 0.9s, I'll do the math, are 1.4 grams. 1.4 grams. So 1.4 divided by 8 equals 0.175. Okay, wow. So these are apparently lighter. Potentially lighter, if this is to be believed. These are going to be lighter. That's actually super impressive. I don't know how they've managed to do that, because the 1219 is the opposite side. The 1219 is significantly heavier than these HQ ultralights. It could be because of this hub design, right? Like, this hub design is removing a whole bunch of plastic. And what's really insane is HQ's hub is just like a big thick chunk of plastic in here, and yet that is where they fail. Like, it's always confused me as to how HQ managed to put a big kind of thick solid hub with a bunch of material that is the failure point, right? This hub design here has that inner bit, which, again, on the 1219S is strong. Oh, I think I pulled something. Oh! Oh! It's fine. It's gonna be fine. And then it's got those 3 little legs. Oh! To that outside bit. And what's cool about that is that outside bit is where the props are going to connect to. And that's farther out, right? Like, if you just have a solid inner hub, ooh, the props have to connect to that smaller inner bit, right? And so having like a dual, like an inner piece to grab the motor shaft and then an outer piece there, that has the potential to be a lot more durable. But we'll see. We won't know until people start smashing these into the walls. I typically don't order new stuff from AliExpress because they take a month to ship, and by the time you get them at the end of that month, that product has popped up on the stateside resellers. And so I will not be buying these off AliExpress. I will just wait until they show up on GetFPV, Race Day Quads, Pyrodrone, Newbie Drone. We Bleed, Tiny Whoop. And so, yeah, I'll wait on these, but I'm really excited, man. 1209 1207 from GemFan could be the new best Tiny Whoop prop. Also, that's a new propeller. With propellers, way more often than not, the newest propeller is the best. Prop design is the thing in FPV that tends to have the biggest I heard the noise, but it didn't pop up. That's annoying. Propeller design tends to have the biggest impact on the flight experience, and we haven't like maxed out the propeller design yet. Motors, they're all like, they've gotten so good that like the newest best motor is not necessarily any better than the previous one from a year or 2 or 3 ago. Frames, kind of the same deal. Electronics, totally the same deal. I've got ESCs that are 6 and 7 years old that are better than what's available now. But propellers, there are still big improvements to be had. So yeah, this could be the new... Guys! This could be the new meta. I hate everything. Could be the new meta, bro. Could be the new meta. I said the thing that the popular streamers said. Am I more popular now? Did a whole bunch of people just subscribe because I said the thing that all the other cool people say? What a shit show. 0.17 on a scale from Sadistic Rigger took a put an HQ ultralight on his scale. 0.17. Interesting. Is that what my math came up with? I hope. 0.17. Look at that. Sadistic Rigger has a pretty accurate little scale there. That's what I've learned here. What else is happening? Let's keep going on chat here. Mike K, thank you for letting me know. I hadn't seen those props popping up. FPV says, what is that little guy? This? We've already talked about it, I think. That was back at 316. Mike K says, I'm getting a Bamboo P1S for Christmas. Is there any way you can do a segment about tips and tricks for noobs for 3D printers? Ooh, you don't want... Well, I mean, maybe you do. What I was about to say is you don't want me to be the guy to tell you about 3D printing, but I have done a decent amount of 3D printing over the last, like, 6 months, and, like, I am still totally a beginner, but sometimes a beginner that has at least a little bit of knowledge is kind of nice because they don't sort of talk over your head. But, like, yeah, there are a bunch of things that I have figured out. Like, if a print breaks off the plate, like, laterally, sideways, like how you can put brims, like little ears on there to get it to stick to the plate. When the nozzle starts to clog up over and over and over again, just bail and just replace the nozzle. There are a couple things that I've figured out. How to paint on supports. Like so a lot of times this happens with these little tiny whoop camera mounts. Sometimes the inside, like up in here on the top, it will not have a support there. It'll just try to print straight across, and then it'll droop down. It'll be all ugly and horrible. And so in the software, you can go in and tell it, like, hey, I want you to put a support here. You paint in a support area. So, like, I know how to do that, and it took Brian from Brain 3D showing me to figure that out. What I don't know is, like, set it to 220 degrees rather than 240 degrees. But, like, that shit's kind of hard because it seems to be really dependent upon, like, what temperature is in your house, like what your humidity is in your house, what type of filament you're using. And so, yeah, I feel like I've figured out a lot of the things that are somewhat, like, universal. But yeah, it feels weird to, like, do an instructional thing about something that I'm not, like... I'm very used to, you know, talking to you all about FPV, which I've got 10 years and you know, tens of thousands of hours poured into. That feels good to me, right? Like it feels good knowing all the things, so that when I talk to you, it's like dialed in and it's 99.9% right. With 3D printing stuff, I'm gonna be like maybe 60 or 70% right. Like I could totally get it wrong, and like it drives me kind of insane when people do that. When people come onto platforms and say like, "Hey, look, I'm smart. I know things. Here's what you should do too," and like half or more of what they say is wrong because they actually don't know what the hell they're talking about, because they're, you know, they've only been into it for like 6 months, and so that feels a little bit weird. But like, you know, I realize that, and so I would try to stay away from the things that have a lot of that sort of gray area to them, if that makes sense. So yeah, I could maybe do that. I don't know much though. I don't think I would be able to do a whole live stream about it. But you never know. You never know. It would also be like hard for me to figure out how to do that because I just don't know enough, right? Like I know so much about FPV that it's easy for me to like sit here and like take you on a little bit of a journey through like, you know, this particular build and like why these motors are working really well with these propellers, with this frame, with these electronics, with this camera, with this antenna, right? Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna say maybe. I'm gonna give you a solid maybe. If realistically, if you bug me a bunch of times, I'll probably do it. Mike K says those plastic fingers break all the damn time in the in this frame. If you're breaking the little plastic fingers on this, you're flying this freestyle, you should stop doing that, in my opinion. You should use the Happy Model molded canopy if you're going to fly an 04 Lite freestyle. I do not think this frame is a good idea for situations where you're going to crash. This is the cinematic frame, and you shouldn't be crashing all that often if you're flying like that. But good to know that those little fingers break off, because you know, we crash sometimes. I doubt that I will fly enough batteries on this setup to break those fingers. I doubt that I will fly more than a couple more batteries on this setup before I tear this down. But you never know. Jamie Flies FPV says, "Oh, hi." Latrank says maybe the kids are onto something with, oh god, 6-7. Even if they don't know, it means 6 to 7 six batteries a day, 7 days a week. Look at that. If I wasn't such a goddamn curmudgeon, I would actually run with that, and I would start saying 6-7 all the time, and because that's kind of brilliant. 6 batteries a day, 7 days a week. But I'm an old angry fuck, and I refuse to do things that are popular or cool because it makes me cringe. Adam Verby says, would it be worth trying 35mm props and maybe 802s? No, because it would get way heavier, and the biggest problem with this thing is the weight, which we're going to talk about in a little bit when I fly this around a little bit. Netherwind, make sure that you type at CiottiFPV and don't put anything after that. You want to the only real way to get a live streamer's attention when they have a bunch of people chatting is to tag them so that it lights up orange like this. I can't. Well, I can. I could read through every single comment of the live stream, but that's not what I want to do here. Like, I want to give you guys a space to talk amongst yourselves, especially because we have a lot of people in our chat that are extremely intelligent. And so there's a lot of guys in chat that can like answer questions just as good as I can. And so if you specifically want me to look at your chat comment, just, and this is not just for you, this is for everybody, make sure you type at CiottiFPV and then like don't put a comma after it. Just at CiottiFPV. That'll tag me. It'll light up an orange. I just happened to see your comment though, and I'm glad that I did, because you said, yo, Ciotti, do you fly anything larger? What do you think about the Mario Mini25? It would be my first sub 250 gram drone. I fly stuff that, wow, that does not look very big back there. That's funny. This is not a, I think it's the bi-blades that make it feel small. make it look small back there. But yeah, I fly like everything. So I started flying 10 years ago, and the first rig that I ever had was a, what was that, 2.3 inch? It was the original Emax Baby Hawk. It was white. It was all plastic. Plastic frame, plastic everything. Yeah, I got into FPV when I was unemployed. And so budget was everything. And that original Baby Hawk was, I believe, $100. It might have been $199, but it was incredibly inexpensive. And I moved from that, and so I pretty quickly saw, like, 5-inch rigs were available back then, but they were a lot more expensive. And so I spent about 2 years, I think, at the beginning of my FPV journey, flying only micro stuff because I could get it really cheap. So it was like that 2.3-inch rig, and then I started to mod the shit out of that, and it ended up in a carbon fiber 3-inch frame. So it was basically like the world's, not the world's first, but like, you know, the world's first toothpick, 3-inch. It was 2S back then, 2S toothpick. And then I built a 2-inch setup after that to try, you know, because like I'd blown that thing up to be a 3-inch, and then I was like, well, now that I'm a little bit better at flying, I want to see what 2 inches actually like. And then I did a brushless, a brush. There was no brushless tiny whoops back then. A brush tiny whoop, and those were like my 3 main rigs for a little while there. There might have been like one other like kind of thrown together build from just like extra parts at some point in there, but it was mainly like those 3. And then at some point I did a 2.5-inch top mount battery kind of setup that was really fun. And then I dove into 5-inch and flew once I got a job basically, and I could afford it. I built a 5-inch setup. This was also around, we're maybe like 2.5 years in. I'm starting to really get good at flying. And basically I was at the limits of all the micros. Like the back then the micros didn't make enough power, and you couldn't get them tuned well enough to be able to do a lot of the tricks that the 5-inch stuff you could do on. So built a 5-inch rig and spent a bunch of years in a row mainly flying 5-inch because I was really focused on getting good. It was about getting good as an FPV pilot. You know, we're at that point, like, we're in the golden days of FPV where Steel and Schizo and Stinger Swarm and yeah, that generation of FPV pilots were making loads of edits. Not too long after that is when I actually moved here to Atlanta. Basically, right around the time that most of them stopped flying is when I moved here to Atlanta, which kind of sucked because I was super looking forward to getting to... I did get to fly with those guys a bunch of times. I shouldn't be so negative about that, but yeah. And then I never like didn't fly micro stuff, but I just, yeah, it was just like for sort of fun here and there. It wasn't like the main thing that I was flying. Around that time, I also realized that around that time the micros did kind of slowly start getting better, and so that's what kind of got me back into micros. But it was also that you know, like now we're maybe 6-7 years in, I started booking flying gigs, like actual paying flying gigs, and so now that opens the door to like cinewhoops and a different flight style, subject driven flying. And then I started flying loads of cinewhoop, as you do on paying gigs. And then, yeah, more recently, over the last few years, now that like 3-inch, 2.5-inch rigs, and especially tiny whoops have gotten unbelievably good, I'm getting more back into these, and it's been an absolute blast. So yeah. There's sort of my journey that you didn't necessarily ask for, but it's a long answer to a short question, which is what we can do here on long form content. Instead of just saying, yeah, all right, bye, click subscribe. Where's the rest of that question though? What's happening? Where'd the chat go? Oh, you bastard YouTube. Hold on. There it is. What do you think about the Mario Mini25? Never heard of it. Let's take a look. Mario Mini25. If it's from Speedybee, that's a good sign. They make some really good stuff. You should look up a bunch of reviews and trust them more than me, because they've actually flown it. This is weird. That's a very weird prop guard setup. Right off the bat, this strikes me as basically like, let's make it look really cool so that it sells really well, without focusing enough on flight characteristics. This is, you know, this is a shape that, you know, it looks cool, it looks fancy, it looks high tech, it looks polished, it looks finished, and that sells. This is a shape that is probably not going to perform all that well, though. This massive canopy here, this is brutal. This is going to block all kinds of airflow. It's going to make all kinds of weird shit happen with the air that's moving around this thing. When you know, like, one of the really difficult things about FPV is that we need these things to be aerodynamic in every possible scenario imaginable, right? Like, yes, sure, we fly like this most of the time, but then we go like that, and it's going inverted, upside down, and backwards, and then we slide sideways, and then we go like this, and then we do a building dive where it's go like that, and then we do a fucking juicy flick where right? And so, like, having a design that's like kind of as minimalist as possible is typically the way to go, because then we have the least amount of material that's going to make the already nightmarish aerodynamic situation hopefully not a lot worse. You know, a giant canopy like this, that's not the way to go. Like, you flip this thing upside down, and the wind is going to get all kinds of weird under this awkward ass canopy. Hopefully you can take this canopy off. But the next problem is going to be these arms, and like specifically this support here. Like, there's too much going on. There's too much stuff here that's going to more than likely block the thrust, and make it really loud and kind of inefficient. In my opinion, maybe they put it through intensive fucking CFD or aerodynamic testing and it actually works really well, but I doubt it. I've been around a long time and I've seen a lot of different canopy designs, and less is more. So yeah, I don't know about this. It looks like they're putting GPS in there. I don't know why you would on something that's this small and light. It's not gonna go far enough away to really need GPS, but whatever. GPS sells. And I guess for a brand new pilot, like, being able to flip on some kind of hold is nice, but, you know, you should just learn to fly properly. The whole point of FPV is that you learn to fly. It's a manual thing. Like, that's what makes FPV magic, is that you have to work. You have to, like, get good. That's a good thing. Yeah, this is there's a lot going on here. These prop guards here, these are horrendous. I dig the fact that they offer some protection, but like there's way too much. There's way too much going on. I can all but guarantee you, if you watch a couple of the reviews for this, and you compare this to another more standard 2.5-inch propeller setup with similar motors, similar battery, similar all-up weight, I can almost guarantee you that this is going to have much less runtime and much worse flight performance. But yeah, that is speculation for sure. You know, you don't have to run these prop guards. If you want it to fly half decent, you're certainly not going to want to run them. In my opinion, these are not going to provide any legitimate protection either. Like, there are huge holes in the side of these where someone's fingers could go. And so, like, what the hell's the point? Like, this prop guard is not going to really do anything. But it looks like it's clipped in pretty jankily, so it'll just break the first time you crash it, and then you won't have it anymore, and problem solved. I could totally be wrong. It could be the greatest thing ever, but I super, super, super doubt it. $130 ain't bad, though, but that's from AliExpress. You're going to get hammered on tariffs and all the other, you know, fascist shit. So that's rough. But, yeah, there you go. There's what I think about it. Jimmy the Cow says, vegan FPV does close flight moves in public with people. It makes me nervous sometimes, but I agree. I'd rather smash someone in the face with a light, tiny whoop than a 5-inch rig. Yeah, vegan's a great example of this. You know, like yes, he's flying unbelievably lightweight, unbelievably safe tiny whoops, and he could probably hit any of the people in his videos, and it would be fine. Nobody would be going to the hospital. Like, people would be more upset by the fact that, like, a drone is near them, right, than the fact that he bumped into them. You know what I'm saying? The monsters are going to be upset that you're flying a drone because they're idiots and they don't know that they can close their mouths and breathe out of their nose, right? And so, but yeah, there are times where it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. The whole flying around people thing is tough. For me, it's a little bit different because, like, my footage is being played on a fucking jumbotron that all of the people that I'm flying around see, and they go, holy shit, that's the coolest perspective of these cyclists ever. And then I pull that drone up in front of them, and they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be on the fucking jumbotron, hey! Right? And so, like, it's different for me. Like, when I'm flying around people, it's not like just somebody walking down the streets of New York and a fucking drone is following them or just being near them, right? So it is quite a bit different in that respect. But yeah, I don't know. Adam Verby says, normalize open props around people. There we go. Now we're talking. Jamie Flies FPV says, I would never fly open props around people. Go with the 75mm whoop. Yeah, I'm super torn. Like I was saying before, I would never like fly this in front of somebody and just like get footage of them. This would be like, you know, the TV truck asks for like an overhead or something where I need to like move this thing 20 miles an hour without the wind pushing on it. You know, a 2S 75mm whoop on the, like, above the rooftops in these cities that I fly, it's just getting abused, and it's like I can't give the TV truck a shot that has any value because I'm getting like buffeted and or just straight up pushed laterally, and you know, they want me to fly like down the middle of the street and show like the row of vendors, and like I can't do that, right? And so, yeah, like flying like in close proximity to people, for sure, always something that's got the prop guards. But I think this could be a really fun tool to get some really interesting, you know, there are people sort of near, but not right in front of me kind of shots, right? But yeah. Drones and safety it's an interesting thing, man. That there's that sliding scale. Like, I feel like every time I go on Instagram, there's somebody doing something like incredibly dumb, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's so fucking reckless. But then I know there's a bunch of people that watch that, and they're just like, whoa, cool, that's not reckless at all, right? Usually they're 17, 18 years old, but not always, right? There are plenty of grown-ass adults that, you know, you put up a video doing something like ultra reckless with a 5-inch rig flying between your legs or right past your buddy, And, like, there's plenty of comments from grown-ass adults that are like, dude, holy shit, you're the best pilot ever. Blah. Like, no, you're about to ruin it for fucking everybody, right? And so, like, that, you know, that line of, like, what's safe, it's tough. And also, that line, unfortunately, has a lot to do with the skill set of the pilot, right? Like, if you are super comfortable ripping past your buddy with a 5-inch rig, and you're a legitimately really good pilot, it is a lot less dangerous in actuality than somebody that's just not as good of a pilot, right? Like the stress of not being that great of a pilot and then doing something that's obviously sketchy makes you even worse, right? Like if you're good enough, you don't get stressed doing those things. And when you're not stressed doing those things, your reactions to something weird happening are going to be way better than somebody. So it's like, it's impossible, right? It's absolutely impossible when you watch something to be like, yo, that's too sketchy. But not, because there are scenarios where it's like, I don't care how good of a pilot you are, X could have happened there and you would not have been able to avoid that. Like that tends to be like where I draw the line. Like I always tend to assume that the pilot is pretty fucking good and they're not super stressed out when they're doing the flight, but we can certainly do things with these quads and go fast enough where it's like, yo, if that person had taken one step to their side, there's no way in hell you would have gotten that stopped. And that would have been real nasty and potentially have been the news article that blows up and fucks it for all of us, right? And so it's, yeah, I tend to err in favor of let's just be a little bit more safe. It ain't worth it, right? Like nobody's getting paid that much. Right? Like when that shit happens, the people aren't getting paid anything. The people that are actually getting paid to make the really cool shot that's art, they're not doing shit that's sketchy because they know better, right? And so it's always the people that are just doing it for fun that are doing the shit that has the most potential of blowing it up for all of us. And, you know, that's tough to see. But it's a really tough discussion to have. Thrash FPV says, been too long since I've been in a stream. Now that DJI is banned, do you think split cams are good for cinematic work, or should I go to eBay and get 04s? Yeah, I mean, look, in our world of FPV, we are not buying full drones that look like drones. We are buying this, and this doesn't look like anything. And so this is going to be able to come into the country. It might be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to be super easy to get these into the country. Also, you know, Flywoo is just going to start sending them, or DJI is going to hook up with Caddx, and they're going to start, right? Caddx already has this, they and RunCam as well, right? We were able to get Vistas from both Caddx and RunCam. And so it's, you know, the DJI ban will just make shit cost more money for us, basically. I will admit, though, not being able to, like this 04 Pro VTX is broken. I can't send this back to DJI for repair. I don't know what to do with this. This just has been sitting on my desk for a month. I don't know what to do. And that sucks a bag of dicks, because I sent DJI an 04 Lite a couple months ago and they just fixed it and sent it back to me. Or they sent me another one. But like a month later, a working 04 Lite shows up for free. No bullshit, no nothing. And so it's you know, it really sucks balls that politicians are being so shitty in all ways, but in this way, to ban DJI for pretty much no reason, for just, you know, absolute lies. But yeah, we'll be able to get the 04 stuff. That's I can almost guarantee that. It's just going to cost more, which stinks, admittedly. But, you know, hey, 30% of the country got to own the libs, so fuck, it's definitely worth it. Thrash also says, do you ever get cold call businesses about drone work? Every once in a while. Not so much anymore. I used to, though. I used to get a lot of Instagram messages saying, yo man, you want to make $3,000? How much weight can your drone carry? And I would reply back, nah, man, sorry, I only do cinematic work. Good luck. Thrash says, it makes me super nervous too, even when I've always been super confident talking to people. I misunderstood that. I thought you meant people cold calling me. Do I ever cold call businesses? No, I do not. I've tried that a bunch over the years. Well, so in my early 20s, one of my first sales jobs was cold calling. And I figured out very quickly that it doesn't work. The amount of time and effort that it takes does not pan out. And you end up not making much money and doing tons of work and just getting absolutely obliterated mentally. With FPV, I've certainly tried it from time to time, and it just never works. People either want it and they know what it is, or they don't want it or know what it is. But also, most people just don't understand it. The biggest thing, I think, that the reason that cold calling doesn't work is that they just don't get it. They don't understand what it is. The only chance that you have, in my opinion, of a cold call setup kind of landing you a gig is if you do a gig. So like if you want to do real estate home tours, you've got to go do a bunch of them in homes that are similar to the person that you're about to cold call. You have to be able to show them exactly what to expect. Otherwise, they're not going to understand what the hell it is. Most of the time, though, even if you do that, they're not going to click on it. They're going to see a message from somebody that they don't know. First of all, it's going to go to their auto spam thing on Instagram or Facebook, so they're probably not going to see it at all. Even if they do manage to see it, they're probably not going to click through a link to your YouTube. Maybe if it shows up right there and all they have to do is click play on it, maybe they'll click play, but they probably still won't, right? Like, we're so resistant to cold calling that it's just probably not going to work. You're going to be better off like getting in front of someone face to face, like literally driving to a business with an edit on your phone of exactly like their same business, but like the competitor down the street or whatever, and being like, hey, I fly drones. I would love, this is what I can do for you. Like, because you're forcing them to watch it, right? And face to face, they feel worse about saying no. So yeah, cold calling is pretty much always a waste of time. Uriel says, about commercial fly over here, the competition calls in on police and they use small drones for recon work for burglary. Sadly, that sounds insane. Mike K says, GemFan has the 1209 as well. Yeah, so the 1209 is a very old propeller design with a big, thick central hub. They are not well balanced. They are too heavy, and they don't make very much thrust. It's like an older propeller design. So yeah, stay away from the GemFan 1209s. You don't want them. They don't fly good at all. They're just an older propeller though. Older design, like I said earlier, as like the newest prop tends to be the best. Like that GemFan 1209, that came out like probably 3 or 4 years ago. Back then, it was the best. It was the best that we had until the 1210 biblade came out. When the 1210 biblade came out, it fucking blew it away, and that was the best that we had until the HQ ultralights came out, and they've been the best that we've had. Right? It's yeah. Uriel says, you shot a pebble? Sure. Adam Verby says, if I buy these GEPRC 1002s, what's the best setup to run with them? 75mm, local shops got them in stock. 75mm for sure, yeah. 1.6-inch props, 1.8-inch props, a really lightweight 2-inch biblade maybe, but 1.6, 1.8 is really the way to go. Jimmy the Cow says, does that sneeze on stream count as an on-the-job injury? Apply for disability, lol. I like where your head's at. Flakadelic says, with a $5 super chat, thank you, brother. He says, hey man, recommendations for a good bind and fly for some aerial real estate video. Oh shit, I mean, you need a Mavic, really. Like, real estate stuff, what they want are like horseshoes. They want down-facing camera stuff. They want show the entire property with like that horseshoe movement, flyovers like this with the static. They want that down tilting photography drone kind of stuff. Sometimes you can trick real estate folks into letting you do a fly through, but after you do one or two of those fly throughs, they will typically not call you back because it makes way more sense to do the interiors with a gimbal on a stick. And so, yeah, FPV doesn't really have much of a home when it comes with home fly-throughs. Eh? Thrash FPV says, are pics of weed allowed in the Discord? I hope so, because you already posted it. That's fine. I started going, would love to post some pics in main chat of how it's going for the stoners, lol. Only if you share. That's the right answer. Only if you share. That's the correct live streamer answer, isn't it? Mike K says, the GemFan 1219S weighs the same as the HQ 1.2 Ultralight, both 0.17. Does it really? I thought it was heavier. I put them away. Okay. The 19 pitch, it definitely doesn't have the same response time as the HQ Ultralights. The 19 pitch is a lot. That's a ton of blade angle. And so that's going to make it very draggy. And so, yeah, most people have moved away. I don't know anybody that flies the 1219Ss anymore. So yeah, that's one of the things that kind of makes propellers so confusing, is that, like, yes, the weight of the propeller is super important, but the pitch is also really important. But sometimes you want more pitch for more thrust or for more throttle sensitivity when you're going faster, but then you lose response time, right? Like, there's a bunch of things that kind of intersect with propellers that make choosing the right propeller for you kind of difficult, and that's an example of that. Hey, Ryan says, you want to make a trade? I got an extra 04 Pro. Maybe. CiottiFPV.com, join my Discord, or you can message me on my Instagram is up there, my Facebook is up there, my email is up there. Discord's best for me, though, so message me somewhere. Tell me what you would trade for that. I have all kinds of nonsense. To give me a couple things that you're looking for that you'd be willing to trade for that. And if I have something kicking around that's just, sitting on a shelf, I would love to... I would love for some of this shit that's sitting on the shelf collecting dust to get used, but I would also love to have an extra 04 Pro. Anti-Flash FPV says, what do you think of a build using Air 65 frame 702 30,000 motors 1219S props? I would ditch those props in favor of the HQ Ultralights, like kind of no matter what, to manage the extra weight of the 04, sacrificing efficiency. So more pitchy propellers are typically less efficient. So the 1219 props would be doing the opposite. The lightweight, these HQ 1.2 by 0.9 props are going to be the most efficient prop is going to be the biblade, but these triblades have the thrust that we need. Again, this is a situation where we're managing like multiple things. Like, do we have enough efficiency? Do we have enough power? Do we have enough response time? You got to like balance those three things. That's what makes this, that's why I have a job here. Because I've gotten really good at mixing those things. But yeah, no, you would definitely not want the 12, like, this is the setup. So let me get caught up on chat, and then we're going to talk about this setup here, why I've chosen each one of these individual parts. And it'll basically answer that question. FizzPV says, and you print what we need. I assume referencing on my Etsy store that I have 3D printing. If you guys don't know, I do offer 3D printing. You're paying for my time and the filament. I will 3D print like whatever you want. I have some stuff that's already pre-printed, but if there's something that you need printed, and you've secured that STL file, you can send me the STL file. I'm taking your word for it that you're not, stealing the STL file. And yeah, my 3D printing stuff is incredibly cheap because, again, you're paying for my time and the filament and the wear on the machine. I don't do any 3D design or anything like that. Uriel says, my content feedback, the editing part is not often shown. I'm not sure what that means. Flip Flop FPV says, Thrash FPV want to talk about his mom's kitchen garden. Uriel says, with that mentality, you're okay to talk about printing. I agree. Mike K says, the only way to get better is to do it. Very true. Although, no, not necessarily. You can study, right? You can take classes. You can watch long-form content from people that know a lot. But one of the best ways to get better at things is to do it. How about that? That's what I'll say. Margus Mahler says, thoughts on the leaked Caddx Ascent VRX and GT VTX Industrial. I typically don't keep super up to date with like the newest and best stuff. To be honest, mainly because like I tend to not be able to afford to buy all the new stuff that comes out, and companies don't really send me stuff. But the Caddx Ascent is super interesting. How cheap the camera in VTX is fascinating. If the goggles are good, then, you know, somebody that's new to the hobby is got something pretty awesome they can dive into. A lot of us are already pretty invested in analog and HDZero and 03 and 04 and Avatar. And it's just like, God damn it, dude, another fucking protocol, another set of goggles. And so it's tough. But like, I hope it's good. I hope it's good because a camera VTX combo that's like $40 or whatever the hell it is, that's pretty rad. That's hard to argue with. So I do hope that it's good, but like, you know, none of us have any insider info really. GT VTX Industrial, I have no idea what that is, and I can't just Google search that because that's too broad of a name. But with the word industrial in it, it's probably not for us hobbyists anyway. Flip Flop says, what do you think about the basically same question? Yeah, I would love for the Caddx Ascent to be awesome, but you know, we need to, with video systems in particular, it's not a good idea to jump on the absolute brand new stuff. There's no real benefit to it. Like, you're not gonna get more views. I guess you will, but it doesn't matter that you're gonna get more views on YouTube for having it day one. You're taking a massive risk that you're buying something that either doesn't work right or is super fragile. The fragile thing is the hardest part. It's really difficult to make a camera that's going to be durable when you start bashing it into concrete at 40, 50, 80 miles an hour. And so, yeah, wait as long as you possibly can. Let as many reviews come out. Let as many people as possible hammer it into metal poles. Because yeah, there's a lot of stuff that only comes out after a bunch of people have flown hundreds of batteries, not the 3 batteries that a reviewer will fly. Which is kind of one of the other reasons that I'm not interested in like staying up to date on all the absolute brand new stuff. I don't care when it's brand new because so much stuff sucks in FPV. Like, I'm interested in it when somebody that I know that crashes hard has done 100 batteries on it and it is held up. You know, that's when I'm willing to spend the money on something to kind of get into it. And again, you know, these manufacturers don't send me stuff. So I just have to kind of go at it that way. But so should you. You should approach it the exact same way because there's zero benefit of being the first guy to have the newest, fanciest thing, right? You're just being the guinea pig. If you have infinite budget, okay, sure. But there's no real reason. Just wait, you know, just wait a couple months. Lord says, what motors in 702 30,000 do you recommend? I was thinking of the Hummingbirds, but figure you may have tested that size in KV. You had a favorite or just better at operating? It totally depends. Like 702 30,000 kV tiny whoop happy model Weebleed motors make way less power than Newbie Drone and Beta FPV 702 30,000. So it really depends on how much power you're looking for. You should not like just focus on 702 30,000. You should focus on like how much power do you want. That's hard, especially if you haven't had a 702, a high KV 702. So like, I don't know. My favorite are the Happy model, Weebleed, Tiny Whoop 702s. They tend to be more efficient. The motor shafts are a tiny little bit thicker, and they're super available. So for me, I think one of the best things you can do is to get a Tiny Whoop or Weebleed 702 32,000 or 32,500 and see how you like it. Is that enough power? Is that too much power? It's an awesome all-around motor. It's a great place to start. It's got the normal plug on it. And it's my favorite motor of all time in Tiny Whoops is the 702 32,000. It's got enough power, but not too much. Good runtime, durable, good to go. And it'll be a really nice benchmark because there are motors that make more power and there are motors that make less power. So it's a really good middle ground to kind of start. Uriel says, content feedback, some sim work is always nice. Jimmy the Cow with a $20 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, your hatred of the mouth breathers makes me so happy. Never stop. Yeah, I don't know. Like, look. Like, we all have access to every bit of factual, science-backed information with the internet. You know, even people without phones can go to an internet cafe. Every single person has the ability to get every bit of actual, real knowledge. Pretty much ever, right? like the internet just has everything. And so, yeah. There's just no excuses anymore. The excuse is you're just lazy or you're just hateful. And that's unacceptable. Just is. Like, you're just a shitty person for being like that. Sorry. And look, you know, you can be a dum-dum, but not be a hate-filled monster. Like, that's fine. But, like, yeah. You guys know exactly what I mean. You Can FPV says, yeah, I think you'd be good. Props won't be spinning anymore if you were to hit someone. Right. Yep. In referencing like flying something like this around people. Yeah, I've been flying forever. I would like if there was a panic situation, I'm not gonna go fucking full throttle. A new pilot, a pilot that's even like maybe a year or two in, very well might, right? They hit a power line, they very well might hammer the throttle and rock it into somebody's face. And that's, you know, full throttle, something like this. Yeah, sure, I could hit a little bit harder. That ain't going to be me, though. That's just, you know, not what my reaction is to something like that happening. Yamasor says, I also think the more that videos like vegans are normalized, it just pushes people to do more and more unsafe things that aren't as skilled. Yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, he seems like an awesome dude. I don't think I've ever like actually talked to him in depth before. I think what he's doing is super cool. I love watching. I don't watch everything that he does, but I watch some of it. But yeah, absolutely. Like flying around the general public and doing like kind of sketchy shit, and then having it get popular and a lot of people watch it. That's tough. That's tough. Mape26 says, DJI has sent my 04 Pro back. This leads me to believe they're still fixing things. Well, you can't even, on their website, you can't, there's nothing you can do. Like, on their website, when I try to do the process that I did with the 04 Lite to send it in, they won't, it pops up a thing that says, like, we're not repairing shit for Americans anymore because you guys are fucking assholes. And I can't blame them for a second. They ain't wrong. So, yeah, there's not even a way of doing it, unfortunately. Willie FPV says, I have some cuted pieces of LED strips from Pavo20 Pro. Can I solder those directly to LED pad on another AIO? Will it work? Oh boy. Maybe? I mean, I'm assuming that you mean I have some cut pieces of LED strips from Pavo20 Pro. Uh, Most LED strips just want 5 volt. In theory, those do. I have no idea. The LED pad on an AIO is usually a UART pad that's there for addressable LEDs. So if those cut pieces of LED strips have 5 volt ground and then like a signal pad, the signal pad is the one that you want to go to the LED pad on the AIO. If those LED strips just have 5 volt and ground, then you can skip the LED pad and just send them 5 volt and ground. That's as good of an answer as I can give you. Hopefully that helps. ThrashFPV says the CiottiFPV 3D printed. Oh God. FizzPV says I meant on being able to help somebody learn to print what we print. Sure, yeah. What we print in FPV is pretty specific, right? Like these little camera mounts are a motherfucker to print. Like you look at the bottom here, and it's like it's not, well, you can't really see it, but it's not the cleanest. But I mean, this is a perfect example. Like I don't know how to get like this overhang dialed in like any better. What I usually do is just come in here and clean it up like this because it's plenty strong. But like, yeah, I'm not the super good at 3D printing guy. But yeah, the stuff that I've printed has held up totally fine, so doing something right, maybe. ZipFPV says, do we know what pitch is of the HQ Ultralight high pitch tries? Yeah, 1.1. I've seen it listed as 1 and 1.1 are those different versions. My highs don't have the pitch stamped on them. Yeah, the high pitch HQ Ultralights, the first HQ Ultralights to come out, were 1.1 pitch. Then they came out with the low pitch props, which are 0.9. And now I think that they are actually out. But the prototypes that myself and a bunch of people have been testing from HQ are right in the middle. So, yeah. Now we have 3 pitches available that are infinitely close to one another. You can just barely tell the difference between the 0.9 and the 1.1, but that 1.0 pitch in the middle, it feels, when you compare it to the 1.1, it feels the same. When you compare it to the 0.9, it feels the same. I'm sure that racers can tell the difference, but they're mutants, and, you know, realistically, you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference. But they're all really good. ThrashFPV says, wait, no, hold on. YukinFPV says, I think it'd be fun to thrash on whoops 1 gram lighter than 04 light and cheap. Oh, the Caddx Ascent. Yeah, for sure, for sure. The Ascent is very lightweight. YukinFPV, make sure you put the @ in front of CiottiFPV. I wouldn't have seen this. Screamers are my favorite too. I'm about to order a set with the 1.5mm shaft. Very cool. You also did again, but I just happened to see. I disarm way too early always. Yep, that's the safest way. Well, usually the safest way. It depends on the scenario. If you have enough space between you and stuff, not disarming and trying to get control over it so it doesn't crash is actually the safest thing, right? But that's tough. Since I was new, I wouldn't want to break something when shit got out of control, so I just disarm. It's a hard habit to break. Yeah, you're always safer disarming than not disarming. So like when in doubt, disarm. But yeah, everybody should always try to get good enough that when something really bad happens, they can recover as quickly as possible and not crash at all, right? ThrashFPV says, I saw a video of somebody building diving, flying directly over a highway for about a 1/4 mile above cars. with a clear open prop big quad. All the comment were saying was great. Yeah, it's just insane. It's really completely insane. It is an absolute miracle that we can still fly. Like I and it's because we're so small. We're just such a small group of people. But yeah, it's incredible that there hasn't been like a major FPV drone accident that's blown up and become major news, and the FAA hasn't just said, okay, no more, fuck y'all. Uriel says, there's finishing work on prints. I use old soldering iron. That's a good idea. I never thought to do that. And I'm caught up on chat. Cool. 14 whole minutes left in the live stream. And we'll talk about the thing that the entire live stream is about. No, these live streams are about Q&A, man. The most help that I can give to the FPV community is answering questions live, answering questions in a way that has actual good tested sort of data in it. All right, so here comes a couple of batteries that I flew right before the live stream on this build here that I'm just going to sort of talk over. This was with too much up tilt and with a 260 mAh battery, which damn near browned out right away. I got over here. Wait, no. It didn't save the 260 mAh battery. This is the 300. As you can see, I'm having a hard time flying this thing. Admittedly, a part of the problem was too much up tilt. But, in general, here's a perfect example. Look at this weight. Slide, 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 slide. It just, the extra 10 grams of weight makes it so difficult to fly inside the house. It also threw a prop there, so I got the new prop on it. There's literally the intro of the live stream. Little bit less up tilt now. You can see it's fast. It starts moving quickly and it does not slow down. That is the weight. This is just so heavy. The extra 10 grams is like an extra, I don't know, 60-70% weight versus the regular analog tiny whoops that we fly. So like it starts moving forward quick, and then it keeps moving forward. It's hard to change direction. It's hard to slow it down. And the runtime is also very, very short. That was that first battery. This, I think, is now a fresh battery. Having a hard time just getting up the stairs. You know, you guys have seen me fly in this house. You guys have probably seen me fly hundreds of batteries in this house. Other than the image quality being really good, you've probably never seen me fly this poorly in the house. Everything you do, it picks up speed and it just carries that speed, and then you have to like slam on the brakes. This is infinitely challenging. That was almost a full battery there. It's just mangling the batteries too. Like these are fully charged 300 mAh batteries. Let me do this. Since I only have those two, and I do have batteries fully charged, we're gonna go here, and I'm going to turn off the... Nope. Turn off the VRX. So I do not have the ability to get the video from this thing into the Bing Bong. I definitely don't have the ability to get it into the Fling Flong. But the runtime is so short that I can just fly a battery or two real quick here, and then we'll plug in and take a look at it. Because the runtime is like a minute, basically, on these 300 mAh batteries. So let me grab this one. And so this is a Beta FPV Lava 300, the old school Lavas. The version 2 Lavas would be a little bit better because it looks like most of the reviews are saying that they are a little bit better. But this is what I got. And so, real quick, I'm going to fly a couple of these, and I'm going to try to fly this like proper freestyle, the way that I like to fly. And you're going to see some shit. Hopefully. So, immediately, the battery has sagged down to 3.85. Now, 3.83. One of the issues is latency. If I was gonna really make an attempt at, well, fuck it, let's do it. Let's go into race mode. The only way is to get into race mode. This is at 50 frames a second right now. I can't really do 100 frames a second because there's not enough light inside for that. And so that's another sort of part of the problem here. But going into race mode is definitely going to help this. I'm going to sacrifice image quality. Oh, and I might not have enough light coming in, but let's try it anyway. Where's race mode? What? Where the hell is it? I thought it was in camera. Is it not in camera? Oh, shitting hell. I'm on the Integras. I can't do race mode on the Integras. Well, alright. Race mode would put it up to 100 frames a second anyway. And that's going to be... Jesus. That's going to limit the amount of light coming into this thing. So... and inside the house, there's not a lot of light compared to outside. And so that really wouldn't work. So there's a Matty flip. Like, it's not unflyable. It's just really difficult. Oh my god, the goggle battery just went super low, and there's a big warning message in front of me, and now the warning message is going to keep popping up. Yep. Well, I'm going to try my best to fly through this warning message. Oh boy. I can barely see where I'm going. There's a huge gray window right in front of me. The battery is now down to 3.41. We are at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Shit. Boy, I can't see. I wish DJI didn't do this. Do it like everybody else does it and just have a beep. Make it do a beep when the battery's getting low. Don't make the fucking pilot not be able to see where the hell they're going. I ran that battery down a little low. 1 minute and 57 seconds. Fairly, like, chill flying. But I ran the battery down really, really, really low. Like, way too low. I can't fly with this error message, so I'm gonna have to bail on these goggles, and I'm gonna grab the goggles 3 so that we can go into race mode, and that should help. But that's gonna be one of the issues with flying 04 indoors is the latency. Like, look, analog is one of the things that makes analog so good inside the house is the super low latency. Same thing with HDZero, right? Like, the latency really matters. Flying inside the house, everything's happening fast, and it's happening real fast. And so any decrease in latency that you can get when you're flying inside, go for it. It really does make a difference. Much more so, in my opinion, than all of the rest of FPV. So, DJI04, or frankly, any of the HD video systems indoors is immediately, like, kind of cursed, as the kids say. Because of the latency. Like, yeah, sure, you can see better, but tiny little quads go very slowly. Like the benefit, one of the big benefits of HD systems is that you have a cleaner image and you can see farther ahead. Little tiny quads go so slowly that even with analog, you can see far enough ahead that you have enough time to get there because they're so slow. You know what I mean? And so being able to see where you're going has a lot less of a benefit in tiny little stuff, especially inside the house. Let me get race mode turned on here though, because that'll help quite a bit with the latency. And then I'm gonna get this thing plugged in, and you guys can see how awful my flying is with this thing. Connecting to DJI04 air unit. Hurry up and connect, you bastard. Oh, I have to rebind it, don't I? Is the bind button in the middle on these? I think it is, right? Yeah, bind button in the middle. Hold it. Nope, that's not the bind button. It's just hold down this, right? There we go. Okay, so binding, and then just pop the button on this. Where's the button? There's the button. Flashing red and green. Okay, cool. So we're connected. I need to go to the right here, and then I go to transmission, scroll down, and then racing mode, enable. Awesome. All right. So racing mode is now on. That limits what I can do with like the video quality. That locks the video quality into 1080p, 100 frames, which is going to be really challenging. So I'm going to go all the way up to 1600 ISO. So it's going to get a little bit noisy. The shutter is on auto, but the shutter is going to be pretty much bottomed out because it's so dark in here. So this is about as good as I'm going to be able to do. Let's see. So this battery has sagged immediately down to 3.69 volts. Race mode feels a lot better. For sure. Tried to do a power loop, but didn't get it nearly enough vertical height. Crashed right in front of animal. That was adorable. I'm second guessing a lot of stuff and like kind of juking and jiving left and right. There's a power loop. Whoo! It's got so much momentum. Let's try to fly. Let's try to fly like tight in the drum set. Yeah, okay, I can do it. It's tough, but it's doable. And now the battery's flashing at me, 3.42. I'm 1 minute and 5 seconds in. Fly it a little bit more. Oh, got the dive. So, like, I've been able to do... Oh, this battery's done. I've been able to do a majority of 1 minute and 24 seconds, minimum battery 3.18. Yeah, so this is really hard on your batteries. But I was able to do cleanly at least one of each of the, like, major big moves that I usually do down here in the basement. Here's the last battery. These are batteries that have been cycled a bunch. I'm going to go upstairs in this battery. So it's going to suck for the live stream for a second, but I'll come back down. Don't worry. I promise. Let me just... I want to show you what like a full room power loop would look like. And so going upstairs here, hopefully I don't screw it up and hammer it into the wood upstairs because that's probably going to break this heavy-ass thing. You're also going to get to see how dark it is upstairs for this camera. There we go. So I got on a fully charged battery. I got one of the bigger moves. I almost just hit Teddy. It's very fast up here. Very fast because of the weight. Got another one. It's hanging in there. It's doing... Ooh, boy. It's doing pretty well. Very difficult to fly. And a very expensive tiny whoop, right? This is like a $300 tiny whoop right here. This is not the rig that you want to be crashing into wood flooring and you know, like flying inside the house, you crash a lot. Because what you're doing is so fucking impossible. And that is one of the big oh god, that was a hard hit. Yeah, so like I hope you guys could hear that. It sounded like I threw a textbook against the wall. Like it's just, if you have the budget to buy and replace a lot of these 04 lights, you could maybe do this, but boy, you're gonna have to be a good pilot, and this is just tough. This is really difficult. Minute and 55 though. I got to a minute and 55, minimum battery 3.19. So like, yeah, we're really hammering the hell out of these batteries. Like these batteries are not gonna last long being treated like this. But hey, if you have the budget for it, and you can buy a lot of batteries, you could maybe do this. It's just, whew, boy, very, very hard to fly inside the house. Let me see how these little fingers on the camera mount did. Those are fine. That one fine? That one's fine. That one's fine. Okay, so nothing broke. And I could have been running Rocksteady that whole time. I could dump this footage into GyroFlow. Don't. There's no reason for that. But you could. Let's take a look. So this should be it, I think. Nope, next one. Oops. Come on. There we go. All right. So here we go. Here's what you were just watching. Very dark. See how dark that is? I really like, I can go higher on the ISO, but this is already getting pretty muddy. Like, look at all this noise. Look at all this digital noise in the shadows. Like, this is 1600 ISO. This is starting to really look pretty ugly. So I would not want to go any higher than this for flying inside the house. If you have a lot of lights inside your house and the inside of your house is really, really bright, this is going to be a little bit better. Down here on the other side of the basement, it is a little bit darker than normal, so it would be a little bit better. But still, even over here, like, here's an example. Even right here, right? This has got like all these studio lights banging away, bouncing over, and that's daylight right there. Look how much noise there is already. Like, this is pretty ugly, and this is like a normal amount of brightness here inside of a house. So, like, one of the problems is certainly going to be that you're going to have to crank the ISO up so high that it's very, very noisy, because inside the house is nowhere near as bright as when you fly outside in the sun, and right? And so that's going to be an issue for 04 Lite inside the house for certain. What are you doing? That was weird. The weight is the biggest problem, though. I'm flying like shit here because this thing is so heavy. Like that right there. Like it just kept going. Like it has so much momentum. Like every single moment you have to like manage all of that momentum, and you can't blink because it's always trying to go straight forward. And if you live in a mansion with an open floor plan, I guess that's fine, but most of us don't, right? And so like we're kind of always changing direction, and that's going to be incredibly difficult. So like the flight experience here with 04 Lite inside the house is just kind of excruciating. because it just always wants to keep going in the direction that it's going. And like all we do inside the house is kind of change directions. I guess it keeps freezing like this because I'm trying to play it directly off of the tiny whoop. But in a second here, there's one. I mean, no, that's a fail. Eventually, I'll get a Matty flip or a power loop. But you see, and the speed, right? So like this is fairly low camera angle, but like as soon as you put the nose down a little bit, it's so heavy that it starts trucking forward. And so like it won't go slowly. In order to, you know, when you put, if you've got a build that's really heavy and you go 1 degree nose down, it's having to dump a ton of thrust, way more thrust downwards to keep itself in the air. And so with all that thrust going downwards, as soon as you start to pitch it forward, a lot of that thrust is going to go rearwards. Whereas if you have a lightweight rig, there's a lot less thrust going downwards. So when you pitch it forward, a lot less thrust is going to go rearwards. And so with something heavy like this, even when you just nudge it forward with just a little bit of pitch, it starts cranking forward. So like you have to be way more sensitive on the pitch axis, and that's going to be a very specific muscle memory that you're going to have to learn for that build. That's not going to be, it's going to be drastically different to everything else. This feels totally different to fly because of how heavy it is, and namely because of that. I think I just did a Matty flip, or maybe that was a power loop or whatever, but you can see like that was pretty ugly, right? I can usually just tuck right in there. Now I've got it. I'm starting to kind of maybe get the feel for this a little bit, but it's not good. Like this is not fun to fly. This is not forgiving. This is not like, you know, there's one of the tricks I do all the time. There we go. There's that dive. But like, look at that. I'm totally out of control. Like I get the dive, but then at the bottom, I have to hammer the throttle so hard, it goes screaming forward, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, like, just holding on for dear life. It's too much, man. Like if you're a good enough pilot, maybe you can kind of make this work, but, like, you're going to crash a lot, and you're going to break this shit, and then it's going to just suck. Like, you know, the experience of like living with it is going to be kind of a nightmare, I think. And like, what's the benefit? So now here's upstairs with a whole bunch of incandescent lights on, and it's like, this is brutal. Like, this is absolutely brutal. There's nothing here. What are we looking at, right? There's daylight, and this is at 1600 ISO. That 4-room power loop happens like immediately because it's so heavy. Look at it. Like it's just like left, turn. It's just, and it's not, I don't have a lot of up tilt. This is not an up tilt problem. This is sitting at like maybe 10 degrees of up tilt. This is just the weight. The weight is making it really just incredibly difficult to fly. If you've flown something that's heavy indoors, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It just makes everything more sensitive because it's having to blow so much thrust downwards to keep itself in the air that as soon as you put any pitch or roll in, it's just going. Like a percentage of that thrust is getting blown backwards or sideways, and it's just off to the races. And then you've got all that momentum that you need to then slow down. There you go. There was a fairly big power loop. Kind of lucky that I got that. A little bit better, getting a little bit more used to it. Failing that's that big hit on the wall. Durability is going to be a big problem, man. Like inside the house, we crash a lot. And the 04 Lite is not something that anybody can really say is durable. I don't think anybody has had an experience with the 04 Lite that's like, yeah, it's been pretty durable. Everybody is kind of like, yeah, it seems pretty fragile. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, it's impossibly fragile and it's the worst. And then there's a bunch of us that are a little bit more realistic and are just like, yeah, it seems like it's kind of fragile. Go figure. You know, it's able to record 4K 60, 120, 1080. Like, that's pretty insane, right? Like, for it to be durable would be kind of ridiculous. But, yeah, there you go. That's if I kept pounding batteries through this thing, I would certainly get used to it and be a little bit better than that, but not a lot better. And I don't know how long it would last. I legitimately feel like if I put 20 or 30 batteries through this, that I would blow up the 04 Lite. I could totally be wrong about that, but I'm probably not. And so, is 04 Lite viable for indoors? Not really. Not unless you're wealthy. If you got enough money in batteries and in 04 Lites, then maybe. But why? Why do you want 4K, 60, 1080, 120 frame footage of you flying inside your house that nobody's gonna watch? Just fly analog, and then nobody will still watch it. Actually, people might watch it if you fly analog, because you'll be able to do cooler shit. And doing cooler shit is way more watchable than fucking wobbling around in crystal clear 4K, right? Like, be honest. That is absolutely the truth. You show somebody footage of you doing a big gnarly throw across the room through a gate and then a dive that like cleanly exits into a power loop, and it's flashing analog footage all over the place. They're gonna be like, "Damn, dude, that was cool as hell." You show them footage of you fucking that up and it looking all out of control and stupid and crystal clear 4K. They're gonna be like, "Dude, you suck." You know? If you're going to do this, this is the build. Happy model canopy, for sure. Don't do this beta FPV canopy unless you want to fly like cinematic home fly-throughs. If you want to chill out and go really slow and fly through a gap, you know, it's going to be difficult because it's so heavy. And so you're going to have to like... What I'm going to suggest is tons of expo on pitch and roll, and y'all, match them all up. You're going to have to really just barely nose it down, nose it forward, and you're going to have to be really, really, really sensitive on the sticks. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard as hell to do that. But that's the scenario where you would run this canopy. And I think that's maybe the only scenario that you should... build something like this. This is absolutely not for hardcore indoor freestyle. I didn't put that in the stream title though, right? And so we're gonna kind of gloss over that. The antenna tried to come off here. Hopefully it's not ripping the UFL pad off. It might be ripping the UFL pad off. Please don't be ripping the UFL pad off. It's not. Okay, cool. Snap back on there, you bastard. You bastard. Get back in there, you bastard. There we go. I might fly like 1 or 2 more batteries with this, going really slowly, like kind of mimicking a Cinewhoop around the house. The problem is the light. It's so fucking dark, and like... all the lights are on upstairs. There might be like 1 or 2 lights. I guess I could turn the fan light on, but like, it's just so dark. You know, HD's, well, Walk Snail does a really good job in low light, but 04, it's, you know, it gets really grainy. It's more geared towards like crystal clear footage. That like a straight up FPV setup is really geared towards low light capability and low latency. This is a split setup, right? This is partly for getting really cool HD footage, but also an FPV cam, and there's always going to be a little bit of a balance there. In fairness, in terms of like the video noise that we're seeing, the Walk Snail setup, flying in really low light, it's going to get really noisy too. But we're not using that like a little 4K camera. We're using it just as an FPV cam, and so we you know, accept that it gets really noisy like that. But Yeah, realistically, the reason to fly an 04 Lite inside the house is that you want to get really good looking flight footage. That's what the 04 stuff does. That's why we pay so much money for it. And you're not going to be able to do that because inside the house it's kind of dim unless, you know, you have a lot of lights and they're really high wattage, which most people don't. So that's going to be a problem. But the build, if you were to do this, happy model canopy that doesn't have all this nonsense on it. ORT micro V antenna for sure. My 46 millimeter length on my Etsy store is perfect. It fits in here just right. Cockroach 65 V3 canopy frame, absolutely essential. You want as much duct as you can possibly get to give you any chance of this thing slowing down with all this weight. So this frame is an absolute necessity for this build. HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3s. The bi-blades would be better from an efficiency standpoint, but they're going to be too slippery. You need a tri-blade. This being the low pitch tri-blade, this is the one you want for more efficiency. Efficiency is a huge issue. Weebleed 0702 40,000 kV motors. If you want to fly it freestyle, you need these motors because you need the power, but you also need the efficiency. These are the best balance of power and efficiency that I've found in motors. If you just want to fly it like a Cinewhoop, go with the 32,000 kV motors. But if you want to do freestyle shit like I was just doing, you need these motors. You need the horsepower. Beta FPV's AIO is kind of the only one. It's the right one. Great. 04 Lite VTX, of course. I've got a live stream from last week or the week before where I showed you how to build a Meteor 75 Pro 04. That's the same process as this. Use the same wire header between the flight controller and the ESC. The flight controller and the VTX. Other than that, it's just plugging some motors in, screwing a couple screws in, and away you go. This is it. This right here is as good as it's going to get for fun indoor freestyle flying, and it's not viable. You know, your definition of viable can be totally different than mine, but you're not going to like it. You're going to break a bunch of 04 lights. You're going to break a bunch of motors. Yo, this is going to demolish the 1mm motor shafts on these motors, dude. Holy shit. This is going to, be a very abusive build because of how heavy it is. It's going to hit shit really hard. This is probably also easily heavy enough to knock all kinds of shit over inside your house onto the floor where it can explode. So, you know, the people that you live with, or just if you have things that you care about in your house, this is going to break them. That sucks. This is not a setup that I would recommend to really anyone. I hate to say that, but the same as the last time I did all of this testing with the walk snail lights, for a little 1.2 inch prop builds or anything that you're going to fly inside, it's too much extra weight. 8 grams, in this case 10 grams because of this giant canopy of extra weight is just way too heavy. Could you make this thing lighter? Sure. You could probably shave 2, maybe 3 grams off of this. That's not enough. It's still going to be way too heavy. It's not, and you're still going to break 04 lights, and the runtime is still going to suck, and it's still going to have the low light problems. So, yeah, this is not something that I would really recommend. These digital VTX systems are for flying outside. There's more light out there. You can do a build that's going to have more runtime, carry a bigger battery, bigger motors, bigger frame, right? 1.2 inch props are for analog, for inside the house. Just flying inside the house is for analog. I could put this onto a Meteor 65 Pro frame and then use the 1.4 inch propellers. That would not really do much of anything. Those bigger propellers are going to be more draggy on the motors. So that's going to hurt your efficiency. It's probably going to hurt your efficiency more than the increase in efficiency that you're going to get from slightly bigger propellers. That frame is going to be a little bit heavier than this one. Those propellers are going to be a little bit heavier. That's going to hammer the motor shafts harder. There are too many negatives stacked up to an extra 8 grams of a digital system to overcome with any of the stuff that we do. Bigger frame, bigger props, whatever. Going up to an 802 motor would add even more weight. This is the setup. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different Tiny Whoop setups for flying inside the house. I can absolutely tell you that this setup here with the lighter weight Happy Model canopy is as good as it's going to get, and it ain't good enough. You're going to have to be a better pilot than me, and you're going to have to really focus, and you're still going to have why are you doing that? Analog is going to be so much more fun, so much cheaper, so much more watchable. Like, analog is the answer to flying inside the house. The digital systems are not. They have a whole big list of problems: price, latency, low light ability. Like the way that you build it, right? Having to do a double stack like this is a total pain in the ass, and it crashes horribly. Like it's not the way to go. I wish it was. I do. It would be super cool, but it's not a surprise that it's not, right? None of you should be surprised that it isn't. Let me get caught up on chat, and then I gotta get out of here. I gotta go teach some folks to couples dance. Islander FPV says this heavy 04 65mm would be a great test for what improvements the new lava batteries can offer, since it's so demanding. Yeah, true, but it's still going to be a nightmare. And this is not a realistic setup. Nobody's going to fly this. There are going to be a bunch of people that have built, well, because Beta FPV sells basically this. Beta FPV sells a 1.2-inch 04 Pro, right? So there's a bunch of people that have a very similar build to this, and there's a bunch of people that will do this build, and they will fly a few batteries on it, and then they will stop. Almost guaranteed. Like, this is not a setup that is fun or easy to fly inside. And so, like, you're not wrong, Islander. You're absolutely right that this would be a great platform to really stress test those lava batteries. But why? Since this is not a setup that anybody is actually going to fly hundreds of batteries on, what's the point? Right? Like, let's test the lava batteries on a realistic setup that people are actually going to fly. And, like, you know, like, let's say that the lava version 2 batteries are, like, awesome on this. This still sucks. And so, like, if the version 2 batteries are awesome on this, but on a realistic thing that we're going to fly inside, you can barely tell the difference, then you can barely tell the difference, right? Like, the fact that the battery is better on this thing doesn't matter. If it's better on the actual thing that we're actually going to fly in the real world, that's really what matters. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain. Phil Bradley says, is 04 Lite on 2S a good shout for neighborhood freestyle? Absolutely. It's one of my favorite rigs to fly. Loads and loads and loads of live streams from the past, like, 6 months of me doing that, testing all different motors, propellers, frames, setups, and me just ranting and raving how much fun I've been having with it. So, yeah. Yukon FPV says, don't forget bent motor shafts from all the extra weight. Yep. Can always direct solder the antenna, sure, and the motors. You know, that's one of the ways that we could save weight on this. I could direct solder these motors. I could direct solder the antenna. Don't direct solder your antenna, but there are little ways that you could save a little bit of weight here, but it's not going to be enough, and it's still going to crash like shit. Don't do it. It is not going to be fun. You're probably going to placebo yourself into being like, this is the greatest thing ever for 5 or 10 batteries. And then realism is going to come smack you in the face and you're going to go, shit, I just wasted a whole bunch of time and money. So I have no reason to tell you one way or the other. I'm telling you, this is not a build that you want to do. Unless you want to fly it really slow. It's going to be frustrating as hell because of how heavy it is. But if you want to fly it ultra slow and just shoot little gaps, which again, I'm going to put a few batteries on the charger, and I'm going to see if I can do exactly that. It's hard for me to fly slow. I typically don't. But that could maybe be interesting. It's just, you're going to have to be so goddamn sensitive on the pitch and roll because, like, with all that weight, like I said, as soon as you put the nose down or as soon as you roll even a little bit, all that thrust going downwards, a big chunk of it goes back and it just rockets forward, man. And then you got all this momentum you got to do something with. You know, every time you try to change directions, like shooting little gaps inside the house, it's about like being light and being able to just track a straight line. This is the opposite of that. This is fat. If that gap is not perfectly centered and you got to make a correction, it's just going to keep going the wrong way. And it's going to be so difficult to fly. It's going to really be frustrating. FizzPV says, I'm not good enough for anything but analog matters. Oh. Uriel says, good test again. Thanks. Have fun. Islander says, Beta FPV sells the 04 only on the 35mm Pro frame. That makes sense, but it's not going to help anything. It really isn't. Chris R 4800 says Mobula 804 Lite coming out with wide angle, but they missed the boat by having the wide angle be an extra add-on piece instead of lens swap. Indeed, but there's no way to do a lens swap. They can't. You know, you can't do it. There we go. Thanks for hanging, friends. Don't do this. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but actually I'm happy to be the bearer of bad news because this is like a $300 build that is going to frustrate the living shit out of you. So I'm glad to be the one to keep you from doing this. I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern time. CiottiFPV.com if you like somebody telling you what not to waste $300 on. Support me over on Patreon and I'll keep doing this. Cool? Be good, friends. Here comes some more RC drift car chasing. Or not, because the computer just shit its pants. Now, there we go. Spoke too soon. Is this, wait, no, hold on. Do I have a little bit of HDZero? Have a little bit of HDZero footage here? I do. Here you go. Here's actual HDZero Captain Rainbow Sparkles footage of the RC drift cars in 50% speed. Be good, friends. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed. They zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah. Sighties on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Ciotti behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy. Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy's spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy's spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, falling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends singing loud. Yeah, Teddy's spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.